everyone, it's Melissa Slosky here, and I am so excited today. I have someone really awesome to introduce you to today. I have with me Amy Bernier today, and she's going to share her expert advice on rocking your offers. So before we start, tell us, how do you, what is your definition of an offer? Because sometimes I'll say this word and people will be like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about my pitch or...
Right. Okay. That is such a great question. So oftentimes people think your offer is when you say, I have this program and it's 4 weeks long and there's 8 calls. 4 calls are teaching calls, 4 calls are group coaching calls, and you get a Facebook group and da 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 da. I call that your program design or your program details. Your offer is how you talk about how you talk about what you do. So your offer is telling people that you can help them go from where they are feeling and what they're experiencing right now to how they want to feel and what they want to experience after they work with you. So the offer is basically saying, I could take you from this point to this point. And there's lots of confusion in the program design piece because we all really, really want to be like, we're so excited. We're in our genius zones. We're super passionate. We want to yell from the rooftops, guys, I just created this amazing program and you just want to be in it. So the offer comes along is because you can talk about your program and like, tell me all the details. And I can be like, wow, that sounds cool. But we need to talk about it in a way where people go, I know that's for me. I know that's going to help me from where I am. So the offer is basically saying, I can take you from here to here. And when somebody raises their hand and say, whoa, you know what? I'm really interested in going from, feeling really insecure about my body and really nervous when I look in the mirror, or really self-conscious when I put on clothes, to, feeling confident in my body and feeling like, I look great in these clothes and really like ready to take on the world in any way. Like, telling somebody that you can take them from feeling insecure about their body to feeling confident about their body. When somebody raises their hand and says, shit, you know what? I really, really, really feel really uncomfortable in my clothes right now. And I really, really, really want to feel awesome about that and feel really great about myself. Once people raise their hand to say, that's what I want, that's when you start a conversation, and that conversation can include the details of your program.
I love that definition so much. I know I've made a lot of those mistakes. Like as a consultant, I get really wrapped up in my process and I'll use words like audits and mistakes. And can you tell us some of the things that you see that you fix the most, that you're like, we need to fix this?
Sure. I think that what I notice the most is that people just want to give the details of the program. Like, just like I said, we are all pursuing things that we're passionate about. We are all, on the path of pursuing our purpose. So when we create something, we're being a creator. So when we create something that we feel is really, really well matched with the people that we want to work with and really solves their problem, we get super, super excited. And so we forget that people make buying decisions based on how they feel and their emotions. So the most common problem I see is people saying, I have this program and it's 5 weeks long and it teaches you how to rock your offer. Anybody want to be in it? And the problem is, I don't even know what rock your offers means. I don't even know if it's for me. I'm excited that you created something that you're excited about, but your excitement about a program I know nothing about alone isn't going to get me to a point where I'm like, and here's my money,
That is one of my biggest problems. In high school, my nickname was Data from Star Trek because I guess I used big words and I spoke in a monotone voice. So I totally know what it's like to like speak and be excited about something and people say, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Or when I try to write copy if I don't like copy and paste it from the horse's mouth, I sound like Mr. Game. I sound like Data from Star Trek or Mr. Game Show host. What are some things that you usually have to be like, let's fix this a little bit, or let's reword this? What are some of the biggest things that the red flags?
So I'm really glad that you brought that up, because one of the biggest challenges is that we, again, when we're super passionate and in our genius zone, we talk the way that we think oftentimes. So like if you're really into, deep knowledge, you love to research, you're getting to know, you want to know everything about a topic and you become an expert at something. Or if you're a genius in something and maybe it isn't based on book learning, but it's based on lots and lots and lots of experiences, what happens is once you get to know a lot about something, and then paired with being super super passionate, is part of you becomes one with that information, and we forget that we're speaking expert language, because we think in that expert language we actually perceive our world and explain what's going around around us in that language. It's part of us, so that when we get excited and we want to share about it, our natural inclination is to speak like we think. And when we're in that genius zone, when we're in that expert, using that expert language, we forget that other people don't know that too. So how I like to explain it is that oftentimes our clients, our perfect clients, the ones that we like really, really, really love to work with, we're like, I want to work with this person, this kind of person every day, all day long. I'll be the happiest. Is they're oftentimes a former version of ourselves, which means they're a couple of steps behind us. So I like to explain it like this. Let's pretend your perfect clients are actually 3 years behind you, right? And I want you to think back to 3 years prior to you making these connections around what you share, because oftentimes what we share is something that's changed our lives. And once we've learned these things, we're not the same person that we used to be before we learned it. So there's been a transformation between us 3 years ago and us now. So logic being logic, therefore, the language that we're speaking now, that old version of us has no idea the words coming out of our mouth. If I was to go back to me 3 years ago and say, the reason you're having chronic pain is because you have trapped emotions in your body, you have limiting beliefs around what you can do, and the reason that you hate your job is because it's not aligned with, it doesn't resonate with your soul, or something like that. Let's pretend. I would have looked at someone that said that and would have been like, go fuck yourself.
It's so true. It's like the curse of knowledge. I know for myself, one of the biggest mistakes I've made over and over is I will lead with a problem that people don't even know they had. So you brought up an awesome point about like the real reason behind this is this, but
Right.
It's so hard to like meet them where they are. So what are some of your tricks for getting this language down? Like, I know we're both teachers, so you're awesome at breaking things down step by step.
Yes.
How do you get at the heart of what language to use instead of that expert language?
So I actually take my clients through a process, and some might look at the process and go, well, this looks simple. And I'm like, yes, it's simple because I'm a teacher and I'm going to make it as simple as possible. So the steps that I give you in and of themselves aren't blocks to you taking action. So I know that if you're not taking action on the steps that I'm giving you and the guided steps that I'm giving you, I know that there's probably a belief system issue or a mindset issue, and I can help you with that, because the steps aren't the problem. It's how we feel about the steps. It's how we feel about whether we know the answers or whatever. So I take people through a process and have them use their current and their past clients as resources for their client language. I do not recommend you going into a room, shutting yourself in there and going, how do my clients think? How do my clients speak? What's my client's problem? How am I solving that? That is not where the answer actually doesn't lie in your own brain. You can even go, how was I thinking? How was I feeling 3 years ago? And you could write an entire offer based on that. But the problem is you are different. You are fundamentally different. You have transformed. You have evolved from where you were. So there are just certain pieces that you're not going to be able to remember or see because you're not that person anymore. So your biggest and best resource is actually your current and your former clients. Asking them questions helps you to craft their language. And that is the process that I take people through. And if you would like, I can share some of those questions for you. That way your listeners can be like, oh, now I know where to start.
I would love that, because I'll just comment really quickly. You are so right. Everything is about, like, we assume we know how our clients describe, and we want the best for our clients, and what we want isn't always what they want. And the hacks and tricks I use are more like, see, I'm all about the strategy, and you've got the soul. You've got this like really great connection piece. I have hacks and tricks like I'll look at Amazon book reviews, or I'll search in Facebook groups and look for meaningful posts. But I love this idea of talking to actual people. And I would love to hear your tricks, especially sometimes these questions like, how do you get around when you see somebody put a post in the group like, what is your biggest struggle with blah, blah, blah? You know, people like tune out. So I would love to hear how you talk to your former clients and get the juicy language.
And I'm going to acknowledge the fact that we all learn differently. Like, while you gravitate towards, going through Facebook groups and doing research on Amazon, and that's a comfort level for you. You're like, I got the step. I know I can do this. I, on the other hand, like, this just speaks to you being a systems and strategy person and me being a connection and relationship building person. And I'm so glad that you brought this up, because it's possible that my way can help the systems.
Oh, yeah.
The people that are the focus on the systems. And I've never thought about it this way. You're giving me a new insight into my client base and who more specifically it can be, because you are going to do you are going to take those approaches. And I believe that only gets you so far.
Yeah, it's true. I definitely lose traction when I'm all about the strategy with none of the soul. And especially as a former teacher as well, like, I'm used to connecting with people on a daily basis, and the online world is so lonely. So any opportunity to actually talk to a real human being is
I know what you mean. I totally agree. And yes, this can fill that desire for connection. And I think that too is that we could write an offer based upon Amazon reviews and Facebook stalking and that kind of thing. I just think, like, and that can be a starting point.
Yeah.
But I think, just like you said, and I love how you said this, like, that, I've got the soul part, because I've never thought about it this way, but yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, connecting with people's souls and really connecting with their hearts is the approach that I take to helping people write offers, because ultimately what you're trying to do, so this is how I talk about it. Like, everybody's walking around stuck in some way, and it makes them afraid. It makes them feel ashamed, and they have all sorts of self-judgment about it and stories going on in their head about it. And it's everybody. Like, the billionaire person still feels stuck about something. Like, it doesn't matter your race, your gender, any kind of label you would put on someone. As human beings, we're walking around and oftentimes thinking, God, like, if anybody knew I was stuck on this, they would lose respect for me. Like, we put so much pressure on ourselves, right? And the truth is, like, what I teach is twofold. Like, I'll teach you how to do the offers and speak to that person that feels alone. The fact is that there's plenty of things that people aren't saying. And in your offer, if you can connect to their heart, if you can connect to where they're feeling stuck and how they're thinking about this and how it's impacting their daily life. Oftentimes people will read your offer, and whether they say yes, no, maybe, right off the bat, you've planted a seed. And that seed is, I see you, I hear you, and I understand you. So in a world full of we're uber hyper connected all the time, yet at the same time we're feeling more lonely than ever, there's an opportunity, even on social media, especially on social media, for someone to feel seen, heard, and understood. Because I believe at the foundation of everything, that's what everyone wants. So if you can show someone who's feeling lost, confused, unsure, and stuck, that you see and understand where they are, and you don't make them feel worse about it. The people that say, take their pain points and dig it in, ask them, if things don't change, where are you going to be in a year? I believe that people feel bad enough as it is, and it's not my job to make people feel worse. In fact, I couldn't do it. If I had to, and actually that's how I got to where I am now, is when I initially learned marketing, I was like, no. When people said push their pain points, I said, absolutely not. There's got to be another way. And over time, I learned some other ways, but they still didn't feel true and good to me. So the teacher in me, I took off the, I'm a new entrepreneur and I have to learn marketing from these people outside of myself, these gurus and these experts. And I put on my teacher hat that said, I can learn anything and I can teach anything. And I'm a professional at connecting with people. So how can I connect with people through what I write online? And so it really took me, not so long once I realized I've actually been doing this since I was 21 years old. And now I get to do it in a way on a bigger scale and just a slightly different scale. It's all about connection and having people feel seen, heard, and understood. So I'm sure you're thinking, well, okay, that makes sense. That speaks to my heart. I don't want to feel gross when I write something online. I don't want to make people feel worse. I want to be able to sleep at night and feel like people are giving me their money because they know I can genuinely help them, not because I mind fucked them into giving me their money.
Yes.
The truth is, you can use strategies that mind fuck someone and they'll give you their money. But will you be able to sleep at night? And will that person ever really follow through? They're not going to, because they're not feeling connected to what they're doing. They might not even realize it, but they feel pretty gross about giving you their money too. And they regret it the second that they give it to you. Do you want to help somebody that regrets giving you money the second after they press pay? No. So really, on so many levels, when people say yes to your offer that has soul, they're saying yes to working with you, with who you are, and you will have a long-term client, not somebody that pays you money and then feels shitty about it, So you might be wondering, okay, this all sounds amazing. Yes, 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 Amy. We're saying yes to you. Now what? So the very first step that I want you to take, and this is for entrepreneurs that have had clients, people that haven't had clients yet, and you want to build a beta program, I actually am starting a program just for you as well. So, but my first response is, the assumption is that you have a business, you have a process that you take people through, and you've had, at least 5 to 10 clients that have had positive results. Okay. So this next step for you is, I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna give you 6 questions. I might go through this and add a couple questions. So Give yourself some space. If you're writing this down, give yourself some space. And Melissa, I can send this to you.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
So
I
you
would
don't
love
have to take
hear
notes. You just pay attention and
Okay.
ask more questions.
Yeah, because you know I'm a big nerd note taker, and I would be typing these up, but I'm going
totally. And I'm the kind of person that if I like have to look away in order to write something down, I'm not fully present with what's happening. So if you're the kind of person that like needs to focus, and I'm speaking to your audience as well, what I suggest is, oh, you know what I can do? I can just give you these questions, and what we can do is we can share these questions wherever we share the video. So this is I'll give you guys the this is a freebie so that you can take action. These questions will help you take action right away. And that's what I want. That's what I want for everybody. I want you to see that this process that has been made very, very complicated by a lot of marketers out there because they're using expert language. They've created this entire like language and world around marketing. And honestly, when I broke it down, I'm like, if you see marketing as connecting and teaching, and that feels better to you, then you will really, really resonate with this, because I don't need any fancy words to talk about this. You're going to be like, oh, okay, this is simple. Let's go. So with that said, let's get started. And you might laugh. You might be like, Amy, this is so simple. Or you might think, Amy, I already know this. I don't need to learn this again. I would like everybody that's thinking, I've already know this, I don't need to listen further, to just give me a minute and just listen and see, does this fit better with how you're doing things? Because if it does, this might be an easier approach than what you've already been doing. It might feel better to you. So whether you think you know this or not, give me just a few minutes and I would love to know what you think. So you're going to ask people before, during, and after questions. Before, during, and after. And again, you're going to be like, this is so simple. You got to be kidding me. It works. So the questions I'm going to give you are open-ended for a reason. Because what you want to do is you want to give your current and former clients space to explain what they mean. Okay? So a lot of times when we ask people questions, if you've been through the public school system in the United States, oftentimes your brain is going to go, what's the right answer? And then your brain is going to go, if it doesn't go to what's the right answer, it's going to go, what does this person want to hear? So we want to get people's brains out of just giving the right answer or what I want to hear. We want them to truly show what their experience is on their own. So the very first question is, ready? Drum roll.
Ready.
How did you feel before we worked together?
Oh, that's so important. It really is.
The second question is, what did you try that didn't work? And the third is, what is it? Oh, right. Sorry. My magic questions, I don't remember. I try to remember it exactly as I write them. That way they stay open and not closed questions. As you know from teaching, asking open-ended questions, things that really engage people is important. Is what were you frustrated or challenged by? Okay, so the first question is, how did you feel before we worked together? The second is, what did you try that didn't work? And the last one is, what did you feel frustrated or challenged by? So you're going to get lots of information. Okay. The during question isn't for the offer. It's for you. It's for you to get feedback on how people are feeling when they're working with you. Okay. And this is a question that I have my clients ask because I think it's important. I think so often as coaches and healers and entrepreneurs in general, we're so in the process with our people that we're just thinking, what's the next question to ask them so that they can get closer to their results, right? So we're so in it with them that we don't even, we might not even notice, like, is this process that I'm taking people through, how are they feeling while they're going through it, because we're like, we have a job to help them write their offer. So all the questions I ask help them get closer to that, right? And if you're trying to help someone get clients, when you're on a one-on-one or even a group call, your mind is going, what's the next facilitating question to help them, have the next breakthrough. So we oftentimes don't actually know how our clients are feeling while we're working together. So what I found is, as we ask this during question, how do you feel while we're working together? It's as easy as that. People actually feel so amazing and so surprised, because oftentimes the coaching process, going through any kind of process together, can have its ups and its downs, because you're looking at things might feel hard, things might feel frustrating. When we're learning something new, it's not just like bing, bam, boom, like, well, that was easy, at least not in most cases. Oftentimes there's like realizations and like emotions and, oh no, I don't know if I can figure that, there's just this range of experiences that people have, that, like, on the outside, it, they're having some challenges and stuff. And so you're, as a coach, sometimes you don't know, like, are, you're like, are they loving this even though they're learning and it's hard? You can have those moments of uncertainty, like, we're all human. So these during questions, this during questions really is acknowledgement to you as a coach, as a healer, as a professional, helper, basically, so that you can know, oh my gosh, this is amazing. People feel awesome working with me. They feel more at ease. They feel held. They feel guided. They feel confident. Like, and honestly, I haven't yet had a client, whose people just say, well, actually, I really, during and work together, I really feel shitty and sucky. Like, no one, no one ever said. But that's what everybody's afraid of, right? So it's
actually,
really,
that would
really
be doubly good for me, because I feel bad for my clients, because I tell them up front, I'm like, I am not a coach. I'm a consultant and a strategist. I am going to get you to point A to point B, and I'm always focused on the goal. So just acknowledging and asking those powerful questions would probably be very powerful for my clients.
oh, powerful for them, powerful for you. I think sometimes, like, I encourage people to integrate these questions. Like, so what I'm going to say, I'll finish the actor questions, but so right now, at this kind of like realization point where you're like, how I talk about what I do is not bringing in the clients, it's not getting the engagement, I really don't understand why. I really want you to look back over things and ask yourself, are you just really sharing your program design in a really excited way? Or are you talking in expert language and your clients just aren't there yet? If you do these two things, number one, I don't want you to feel bad about it. I don't want you to feel like you did it wrong. It is so, so common for us to approach these things. And honestly, I don't see anybody teaching writing offers this way. And so it's just been explained to you in a really complicated way where someone else is speaking expert language and you're like, I don't actually know what they're talking about. So it's really hard to apply. So you can see it's kind of meta, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can see how it's actually impacting your life in writing your offer when you're interacting with people that speak in an expert way, right? And you're not quite connecting all the things that you need to connect. So don't feel bad about it. It's kind of important to do the wrong things sometimes, so that when you do the thing that feels awesome, good, and it works, you can feel it, you can see that, you can know it, and you can be like, damn, like, I get it, I feel it, I understand why this is different, I understand why this is more effective, because you'll not only get the results, but you will feel more empowered because you're getting all the information from your people. I recommend from once you have your offer and you know these questions are so powerful, to then integrate them into your system moving forward. So it's not an after they worked with you, by the way, can you answer these questions because I'm trying to, improve my program. It's throughout. It's actually before. It's actually during, and it's actually after. And that can help you as a business owner anyway, because having your finger on the pulse of what your clients are experiencing, while sometimes, well, actually, most of the time, it's scary to ask for feedback, because most people, if really feel very one with your business and what you offer, the idea of getting negative feedback feels like a judgment against you, feels like rejection, feels like, like you've let them down. It feels like this. When in reality, getting feedback from your clients is the exact information that you need to make your program that much better, so that you can see what's working, what isn't working, and you can change it right away. You don't have to keep the program the same and then just wonder after a period of time, I think something's happening and I'm not sure what it is, and maybe it's my program, but I'm not sure. And this way you know all the time. And from a teacher's point of view, for teachers expert language, for you, Melissa, you're constantly assessing them.
Yeah.
You're constantly all of this stuff came from teaching. It's, when I go to teach something to someone, the very first thing I need to do is give them some sort of pre-test or pre-assessment to know, what do they know right now? I don't want to teach them something that they already know. Like, what do they already know? Where are the gaps so that I can fill in the gaps? You give the whole class this pre-assessment. You have it, you put it in front of you, and you go, oh my gosh, none of them know about reptiles. Yes, we're going to talk about reptiles, but they all seem to know about birds. Cool. So then you are able to customize your program, but you kind of need to, every day, assess them while you're teaching about reptiles. Are they getting that reptiles, lay eggs? Do they understand what's different between reptiles and mammals? Okay, if they do, awesome, I'm doing a great job. They understand. If not, then I need to take another approach. So it's a constant tweak here, try this, test it out all the time. That's all for me. That's all that teaching was. It was testing out, changing. And even when I thought something was going well, I still tested it out, because you just never know, right? And then after you've finished, you've done this whole, unit on reptiles, then you do the post test. Did they learn all the things that they needed to learn for first grade or middle school or whatever? So it's the exact same thing for your clients, except you want to know, did they have a positive experience that moved them forward in their business in the way that you wanted them to? Did they reach the goals that you had for your program, and that they had expectations in terms of results? So these simple questions are not just helping you with your offer. They're not just helping you with your client language. They're helping you make sure that your program is the best it can be for the people in the program and for people that come in the future. So
I love that.
It's just that it's important for everyone to know that these seemingly simple questions are powerful, are very, very powerful in a multitude of ways. It can make your program, you as a coach, you as a writer, you as an offer writer, you as someone that expresses about what you do, even better. And it's not something that stays the same. You will constantly be asking these questions to make your program better, to make your client language more on point, to make your offer that much more powerful. It's a process that you're always coming back to. So I bet you're wondering,
I'm on the edge of my seat.
What are the last questions, right?
I'm I gotta know.
Who knew that we could have an exciting, interview about questions?
No, I actually do need to ask more questions in my life, so I'm on the edge of my seat. I really do.
The last two questions are after questions. So we went through the before questions, which were, how did you feel before we worked together? What did you try that didn't work? What was frustrating and challenging? The during question is, how did you feel while we're working together? And there's 2 after questions, and they are, how did you feel after we worked together? Oh, there's 3. There's 3 questions. Sorry.
That's it.
I knew that would happen. How did you feel more ease? And the last question is, what were the results in your personal and professional life?
I love that.
And if you want to add like a bonus question, because all of these questions, nudge, nudge, hint, 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 I'm giving all of everything away right now, is that this is also how testimonials are written.
Mm.
So if you want your testimonials to be written in a way where they show the emotional transformation from before to after, which is what people buy based on, the emotional transformation, which is what your offer is written on, before to after, then use these for that as well.
I love it.
And the bonus question that you can ask is, how do I stand out from others in my field?
Oh man, that is gold. Like, to know how you're different than everybody else, and even just knowing, like, because a lot of times the result that I want for my client or how I would describe it isn't how they would describe it. So I think that is genius. If it's okay, I would love to ask you 2 questions about, you mentioned that what makes you so good at what you do is being able to really connect with people. I found that transitioning from the classroom to online, I wasn't able to be 100% authentically me. I don't know what it was. It's like I was so used to talking to a student and connecting in person, and then now it's like it's just me talking to myself in the camera. So I would love to hear any tips and advice for how to do that connecting part when it feels so vulnerable to like show up as me.
Sure. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because Melissa, I just created a new offering, which is a Facebook group called Being Brave.
I love
And it's going to be, or it is not going to be, I've already created, I just created it the other day. It is a Facebook group that's going to be a membership, a monthly membership that addresses this very thing. Like you said, I can connect with people when I'm in person. I can connect with students and I'm teaching, but how do I connect, when it's online? Like, but there aren't any people. I'm looking into a camera. I feel like before I felt relaxed and now I feel nervous and anxious and kind of like robotic in a way. It's This group I've created is a place for you to practice being vulnerable and practice being natural and practice tying who you are as a person into what you do. So much of my clients are super, super business focused. They'll just talk about their business on their Facebook page, and they feel like their business persona and their personal persona, which, if we want to think about it like in semi-concrete terms, they think business page, personal page, totally separate. And this is the thing. People, you are the product. People want to work with you. So you have a product or a service, but ultimately what people are investing in is you, themselves and you. So if you show up as just your business and you just talk business and like business, 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 people, like, human beings connect to other human beings. Human beings don't connect to a business or a business idea or a business. They especially, I'm going to harken back to this again, especially in the age where we can superficially connect on social media 24/7, 365, like all the time, people are really, really seeking genuine connection. And you might say, like, well, I'm going to still sharing my thing on social media, you know, so where does this genuine connection thing come in? Guess what? If you're being you, people can feel it.
Yeah.
When you're sharing yourself, whether you're talking about your business or whether you're talking about being a mom, whether you're talking about, do you do Facebook Lives and your parakeets, you know, your birds tweet in the background? Like, do you feel like when, you know, you're transitioning from in-person work to on-person to online work, do you feel like there's this, I don't know who to be or how to talk anymore? Like, those things that we oftentimes feel shame about, or
Yeah.
we feel like, God, like if you if you feel like you need to go out and learn how to talk to your camera, or you feel like you need to learn how to be more yourself, like what that's showing you is that's a part that you're feeling uncertain about, and you're making a judgment on that. Like, it's okay actually to show up imperfectly. In fact, when people show up with their perfect headshots and they say, you know, you can make $10,000 in a day, and they're on a beach on their laptop, and it's a picture, and they're just like, my life is glamorous or whatever, what's missing is the humanness.
Yeah.
Like, I would connect more with the healer or the coach that sat on the beach, had the beautiful picture, had it all set up, that then gave a behind the scenes look at what she looked like when she woke up in the morning, and the process that it took to do the makeup and the hair, and to show like behind the scenes footage of her
Yeah.
freaking out, afraid that she was going to get sand in her computer.
Yeah.
Like, I would be, why would I connect with that? Because that's me. Because the imperfections are me. When I see imperfections, I go, I can relate to this person. Like, me too.
Well, speaking of that, I know one of the reasons why I connect with you so much, we have similar stories. And I think one of the things that prevented me from showing up fully as myself was like some painful experiences that I know you and I have similar stories. Like, for me, I worked for 20 years, got 4 degrees, finally got the professor job, and then I was like dumped from academia. And it was like this cosmic shakedown of your life. This is not your life. So it's like I hid. And then when I finally picked up the pieces again and found my new endeavor, it was like another rejection, like a painful experience where when I was showing up as myself and being truly who I am, and I'd say being in my genius zone where I'm doing my thing, and it's usually a boss. They usually go, who the fuck does this chick think she is? And they go out for blood. So it's like those painful experiences and rejection really caused me to put up some walls. And I know you had some similar experiences. Would you talk to that, like how to share those parts of you without wanting to put up the armor? Because I think for me, I just hid for like a year.
You want me to answer that now?
Sure.
Okay. So I think it's so interesting that you asked this question about like hiding, and, you know, my heartfelt response is that I think that most of us are hiding in some way or another in our life, and we're actually really, really afraid to show up fully. And I think in some instances, at least in mine, is for a while, like when you have these experiences of transformation, there's a period of time where you feel like, I don't really know who I am. So when you have the question about who am I, how am I supposed to be my whole full self, and show up when I'm kind of iffy about that in the first place, I think. First of all, I think that it's a journey, that we're always evolving and learning. And I think it's totally, not I think, I know that it's totally normal to, at all parts in our life, be unsure about where we fit, where our place is, and how this is all going to go. And I think that's actually, it's funny. I think that we all have that fear. If people really knew, that I'm unsure about things, then they wouldn't buy my product, or they wouldn't be my friend, or, it's personal, it's professional, it's kind of insidious. And I think the really, really fascinating thing is that the thing that keeps us from showing up is the thing that we all have in common.
Yes, that's probably the point of connect. Like, how do you share those vulnerable moments that have happened to you? I mean, I've seen some people do this really well, where it's like, well, I feel that happened to me too. And now I have this point of connection with that person that just makes
Yes.
me even a bigger fan. And then you
Yes.
see other people who would do it in a different way. It's like they pulled out the crocodile tears for like just to make a doll.
Yes.
Like, so, and you are so good at authentically showing up and sharing your story. And that's every time you put a post, I'm like, oh my God, like that happened to me. And it's just so exciting to have like this connection. So can you give us some tips of how to share some of those more vulnerable points in your life?
Sure. And like, Melissa, your response to my post, just like, thank you for saying that, because it isn't easy to show up in this way, but this is also how you call in your people. Like, I know you're my peeps. I know you're my peeps because you understand the challenges that I've been through, because that have nothing, that could seemingly look like they have nothing to do with my business. And maybe it does, and maybe it doesn't. But when you feel connected to someone,
Yeah.
like, I've taught yoga, I've taught meditation, I've taught mindfulness, I'm teaching, this new way of marketing. I've had people that have connected to me when I just had resigned from my teaching job. I was a Say Yes coach, and I was teaching, my thing was, I'm teaching people pleasers, overachieving people pleasers, how to say yes to themselves first.
I am so your people because
What's interesting is I'm still teaching overachieving people pleasers how to say yes to themselves first. And what I'm doing is I'm teaching you that your voice matters. I'm teaching you how, like, actually your voice is valuable and it's powerful. And when you show up as yourself, the best yourself as you can right now, your perfectly imperfect self, whether that is a person that's uncertain, whether that is a person that's like moved 6 times in the past 6 months, like whether that's whether that's something that stays the same or something that changes, whether that's somebody that likes to have like deep conversations or loves CrossFit, like all of these things make up who you are. And that's the person that people connect with. So if you do that, and I will tell you some suggestions on how to do that, and you pair that within your business, you're speaking your client's language, then what happens is you're speaking to their hearts, and you're speaking to their souls, and you're speaking to where they're stuck, and you're making it okay that they're stuck. Because look, sometimes I'm stuck too. Sometimes I'm stuck in the same way. Sometimes I'm stuck in a similar way. Sometimes I'm stuck in a different way. But we're all humans and we get stuck sometimes. You're actually creating you're creating a community around yourself. And what people know in my community is that they don't have to show up perfect, that it's okay to have, to be uncertain, that it's okay to not be sure. It's okay to totally change your mind and change your life. It's okay to have had childhood challenges. It's okay to talk about those, and it's okay to, all of this stuff is okay. And I don't ever have to say, my values in my business are, or, my personal values are these. People are connecting with me as a person, And I've had people that have not only gone along with me on this journey of evolution in terms of myself and my business, but I've had people, the same people in some instances, buy all of the different things that I was sharing. So I guess, part of my message too is that it's okay not to be perfect. And in fact, that's exactly the place that people connect with. Now, you might say, but Amy, I'm actually going through a lot of really hard times now. Or I used to go through a lot of hard times. And like, I don't want to share about that. Or I don't know how to share about that. Number one is when you're in a really emotional state, when you're still amidst the chaos and of uncertainty, that I wouldn't recommend posting while you're still amidst the chaos. What I do and what I suggest is, there's something to be learned from every situation. So when I'm more emotionally settled, like I'll give you an example. Last week, my car got hit in the driveway, and I like, I wasn't in the car. Like, his insurance took care of it. Like, really, like everything is okay. I found myself getting super, super emotional about it for some reason. Now, when I was super emotional about it, that's not the time for me to post, because I believe in energy, and I believe that I can post the same words when I'm upset and the same words when I'm calm about, like about the same situation. I believe that people can feel the emotion behind what I've written, even if it's the same words. So I really try to be really responsible when it comes to, we've all gone on Facebook where people are screaming. Like, it feels like people are screaming their opinions. People feel out of control, specifically about, politics, and like a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world is, you flow down your Facebook feed, and PS, mine doesn't look like this anymore. You can cultivate your Facebook feed so it's not like, so it doesn't feel like a punch in the face every time you you don't want to feel pummeled every time you look at Facebook. But you know what I'm talking about, like,
Yeah.
oh, like I got to get off, like people are screaming on Facebook. I believe that emotion, and through my mindfulness training and all of this stuff, is very, very contagious. Specifically, negative upset is very, very contagious. And I try to be very responsible in terms of, is this post going to cause a flurry of upset? Is it going to add fuel to a fire that exists? Or is it going to like put some water on the fire? Is it going to be helpful? So I post from a place of inspiration, like when I feel really called to and passionate. And I also post when I'm over the initial emotional charge of something, and I have a little bit more perspective. So I can say, my car got hit. That really sucks. And you know what happened? A bunch of emotion came up that I didn't even expect, like stuff that didn't even feel, related. Like, I can talk about that from a calm place when it's over, like when the emotional charge is done, and I could be like, holy shit, I just did a lot of healing work around this, and my car got hit in the driveway. Like, whoa, I think that, like, I've posted about having having challenges with my family. Like, if you had told me a couple years ago that I would say, I have a dysfunctional family, like I even have a hard time saying it now. You know, if you told me a couple years ago, I would have put that on any kind of public forum. I would have said, you're crazy. I'll never do that. However, what I found is that the people oftentimes that need their voices heard, the leaders, the people that are true leaders that are here to facilitate change and really help, help humanity on a big level, have some huge challenges from their lives. And one of the big steps is, saying it out loud in a way where you're not like, and everybody, and I'm a victim, and like, this stuff happened to me, and oh, feel sorry for me. No, like, the way to share about it is this is what happened. This is where I am now. And you can express the emotions that you had when you were dealing with it, but it doesn't have to be right here in you right now while you're expressing it. There are lessons that you've learned. There are ways that you've become strong because of your challenges. And other people who have had similar challenges are feeling shame and are feeling afraid of saying, like, I, also have been in an emotionally abusive relationship. Like, I also, like, those things, it's not socially acceptable per se to say these things, but the fact of the matter is there's a ton of people out there have had these situations. And I might be a little bit more open than most because I realized when I was 18 years old, after going through a really challenging relationship at a really young age and feeling absolutely alone and heartbroken that nobody understood, that I was like, I think being alone and feeling misunderstood and having like this heartbreak and grief was like the worst feeling in the world. And I thought, no matter what, I have some shame around this situation because I feel like I should have known better and this and this and that. I should have seen it and all that. If I could share something to allow someone else to feel like, no, you're not alone. Like, this also happened to me. Like, and keep them from feeling that horrible feeling. I vowed that I would do that. So sometimes you're ready to share and sometimes you're not ready to share. But my overall thing is your story is going to speak to somebody in a way that another person's story can't. So there's a whole group of people out there that are waiting for you to step up, own your voice, to start sharing so that they can be inspired by you, so that they can ask for your help, so that they can, work with you, so that they can then own their own voice. Because what happens when I share my story about, resigning from teaching job and all of this stuff and how hard it was, the possibility is that you could then be inspired to share your story and see, no, you're not going to die if you share this story. Because part of us feels like we're going to die if we share. You're not going to lose all your friends. But if you do lose friends, but that's okay. You're really just weeding out the people that can't handle who you are. Yeah. And I don't know. I kind of went on a tangent there because I feel so strongly that what you do is so, so important. And then I also know that sharing your voice is a process.
Yeah.
And sharing how you share things is a process. And just popping on Facebook and being like, I was in this fucked up relationship and I felt really bad. It was so horrible. And, I was depressed and I was diagnosed with ADHD and depression and anxiety. And, there's a way to do it that doesn't like victimize yourself or anyone else. And it's just sharing an experience and what you've learned. And I think actually like me sharing about my teaching job is like a perfect example of this working, because when you read that, you were like, oh my God, me too.
Yes.
And when people feel that me too, there's instant connection. And so that showing up as yourself, and I want to reiterate that like, it's a big deal and it's not easy and it's baby steps. That's why I started this new group, because if you can share your story in a place where people have high integrity, that you're only going to get support and encouragement, then you can do it there first and go, here's my story. And then afterwards you can be like, and I felt all of these feelings when I was doing this, and I was really scared to press the post button. And you can kind of have that process of being afraid and posting anyway. And then, but knowing that it's like landing on a soft pillow, That combined with, again, like the way that I teach people to do offers is you're learning your client's language, and to me, it's a science and an art. So I just gave you the science part. Those are the questions. You look for patterns. What are their feelings? What are their experiences? And then that becomes the foundation of your offer. The art part comes in when you use your imagination to really understand, like, what is that person's inner voice saying? How is this impacting their life? And how do they want it to be different? Like, it takes it to the next level. And like, that's the thing that I find is really a collaboration. You can sit and you can do the science part, and you can be like, all right, now I have the information, and be like, and I don't know what to do now. And it's really a creative, collaboration part. And it's the part that I love the most. It's also the hardest part, I would say. But I find that you want to create an offer that speaks to somebody's me too moment, like, and I mean me too. Like, I've been saying that me too are the two most powerful words in the world way before the Me Too movement came out. So just to be clear, I'm not talking about sexual assault in any way, shape, or form. What I'm talking about is really holding up a mirror and saying, I see you, I hear you, and I understand. And that way, really, when it comes to selling, you don't really have to. Like,
that was my next question. One of the parts where I am not rocking my offers is when it comes to the sales part.
Yeah.
So how do you address, for the big scaredy cat like me, like, I will give all the value in the world, and then when it comes to making the offer, I'm like,
So really, I find that in my experience thus far, and I've been in business for a couple of years now, is that the selling really comes through people feeling connected with you over and over and over and over again. And then when they see you do your offer post on any social media or in a Facebook Live or in a networking meeting, when they're at that point when they're ready to say yes to that transformation that you're offering, they come to you.
That's awesome.
And they'll say, I'd like help with that, or I'm interested in that. May I know more? So the way that I've seen selling done in the past, and the way I see it be taught oftentimes, is that you have to know all of their objections, and you have to know how to counter those objections, and it's almost like planning a defense. It's like being a lawyer and planning a defense. Well, fuck that. Because people will feel that when they get on the phone or on a Zoom call with you or something, they will feel like that energy. They will feel that you're like just waiting. Like, I mean, I have people get on a Zoom calls with me and they're just like waiting. Like, let's say they didn't say yes to my offer and we're having a Zoom call to just say, hey, what's up or whatever. Like, I'd like to get to know your business or whatever. Sorry, my phone just did a weird thing on my computer.
That's okay.
Is like, people will be hesitant. They'll be like waiting and it will never come. Like, that's not how I roll. Like, when I have sales conversations and somebody has said yes to me, it's really having a conversation, and it's not different than an offer. You're just basically trying to see if they're a good fit for your program at that point. There's no convincing, there's no twisting their arm. In fact, if you have to twist someone's arm in order to work with you, you don't want to work with them. If you have to use some kind of scare tactic or, convince them, counter their objections or whatever, you don't want to work with them, because they're already saying no. and you don't want to force anyone to say yes. So the way that I teach sales is totally, sales conversation is totally different. And it's one where no one ever feels, people feel seen, heard, and understood. Like, that is what I do, you know? And are you interested in working together? Yes. This is how we do it. Okay, cool. This is how much it costs. You know, would you like to pay by credit card or PayPal? You know, it doesn't
Speaking
turn
of
into.
that, tell us about your new offer. Tell us about Rock Your Offers.
Sure. So this is a program that I've run 5 times now, and it's a 5-week program. At first it was 4, and then I listened to the feedback from my students and realized that they needed more space. So it's a 5-week program. And what we do is I walk you through the Rock Your Offer method. So I take you from, you know, getting to know your client on a really, really deep level. So many people are like, oh no, yep, I know who my ideal client is and what they like and all that stuff. Well, I like to dive even deeper into who they are. And I take you through the process of learning your client's language. And at the end, I teach you how to write an offer, and then we work on rocking your offer. And at the end, you have an offer. And what I found is, so that's like the program details, right? So that's not how I would share about my offer really, but what I would share is, if you are an established business owner and you've had, at least 5 to 10 clients, you have a process that you take people through and you get results, then you may be a great fit for the Rock Your Offer program. Let's say you post on Facebook or any kind of social media about your program, and you're not getting the likes, you're not getting the loves, even though like you wrote that post and you were like, yes, this is it. This is going to bring them in. And you're like super excited. And then you post and you're like waiting and waiting. And you're like, yay, it's coming, it's coming. And you're waiting and you're waiting. And you're like, oh my God, like I thought I did all the right things. And people just aren't responding the way that you want them to. And you just feel like it's happened so many times that you don't know what to do next. Like, you're really like, I followed all the rules. I'm pretty sure I'm doing this right. And it's not happening. The likelihood that you're using expert language and you're not really you aren't coming through, that is high. So if you have that uncertainty and you don't know what to do next and you're kind of overwhelmed because you're like, I've read all the books, like where do I go from here? Then it's possible that you're a good fit for the Rock Your Offer program, because I'll take you through, you'll know all the steps. And when you know all the steps and you really know how to connect to your client and in the way that they can hear you and they really feel connected to you, what I found is my clients feel like, well, I'm not nervous about doing Facebook Lives anymore. I know how to talk in their language. I know how to connect to my clients. Like, I've had people fill their programs. I've had people change their programs because they realized when they started talking to their clients that they could make their program even better based upon the feedback. So it's so interesting that it's not the process that I take you through doesn't just get you more clients. It also helps you to design a program that fits their needs better. And it helps you talk about what you do in a way where people are like, oh, I totally get what you do. I totally know what's for me and I want to know more, or here's my money. So you don't have to feel uncertain and like you're stabbing in the dark and wandering around feeling like you're a failure. You're not a failure. You just need to learn how to connect to the heart of your clients and how they speak. And I can take you through that process. And you can come out the other side feeling, really, really confident, knowing how to use these questions in your business, knowing how to not only get great feedback for your offers, but also how to craft amazing testimonials, it's just all connected. It's amazing. Like I learn more and more every time I take people through the program, because I realize that these simple questions of learning your client's language really is it's the foundation for all of your communication. So your sales pages, so your email newsletters, your landing pages, your Facebook posts, your blogs, like everything, because you'll find out what all their worries and concerns are, and you can speak directly to those in everything. You don't ever have to be confused and unsure again. Like, wouldn't that be awesome?
That's awesome. Well, I think that is so valuable. I can see how everything is connected, like being able to tell your story and connect to your clients and really help them here. I can totally see how this is totally valuable, amazing. Are you up for some fun lightning round questions?
Absolutely, always.
All right. Do you like texting or talking?
Oh gosh. For deep conversations, for like soulful conversations, I prefer Zoom or on the phone. I actually have a hearing loss, so I find that being able to see someone and being able to hear them really helps. For like easy things like, hey, you want to pick this up at the grocery store, like, or like, what time are we meeting, or how was your day, like that can be texting. But like the deep stuff where, you know, I want to be able to look at you. I want to be able to hear your voice and see your face in order
connect.
to, it's kind of my thing.
What's your favorite movie? What's a movie you could watch over and over on any day?
Oh my gosh. Oh God, this is such a great question. What movie? I love the movie Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a really interesting movie. I've watched it a lot. I'm trying to think of other movies, but that one is just, I don't know. It's deep, and it's
What's your favorite junk food?
Junk food, pizza.
Me too.
Pizza.
Totally. And what's a book that's changed your life?
Oh. Well, God, I would say, so I can't just give you one. So I was Where the Red Fern Grows when I was in 5th grade. That book I read and I got like 100% on my book report. And I thought it was like crazy, because something that I really, really loved, I could do really, really well when I loved something. So that was like the young thing where I made that connection that when you love something, you can do well on it, and it's easy. It doesn't always have to be hard. And then the other book is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. I read it initially for yoga teacher training school, and it talks about the voice in your head isn't actually your friend. Like, it's your scared inner middle schooler. That's what I call it, my scared inner middle schooler. And would you want your scared inner middle schooler to make life choices for you? Or would you want your calm, wise self to make decisions for you? So that's just a tiny bit of what he writes about. But that book in its entirety changed my life for sure. That's part of the reason I'm living my life the way that I'm living it now, and following my intuition on a grand scale.
That is awesome. I'm going to have to check that out. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And I will have the link to your questions below this video. Thank you so much.
Yes. Awesome. You're very, very welcome. Have a great day.
You too.